Okay, welcome. Thanks for joining in. This is a special video for me, a special painting. I'd reached a stage where I could actually do hair with Panpastels. I'm going to pour myself a coffee. I'm going to settle in and watch myself paint, and I'm going to explain a little bit about the photo reference and what I'm trying to do with Panpastels. So I hope you enjoy the video. Okie dokie. So this photo was taken in New Zealand at a place where my wife and I used to live, called Upper Hutt. And it's the town or city is a valley city, follows a river valley, and it had excellent bushwalks, fantastic bushwalks. And this particular place, this location where I took the photo, went to an old water reservoir, and was a great place to go for a walk. You had to cross all these streams, and they had water pipes, old rusted water pipes, often broken, and or stones you could jump across. Later on, the council put bridges in and made it quite boring. But it would take you to this old dam, and along the way, I discovered that there was just off the track this waterfall that you could clamber down to, and so I managed to. I think I might have just been engaged to Helen at this stage. Anyway, we clambered down and got her set up on the rock and took a photo. I don't know where her shoes are. I'm probably sitting next to her. So she's holding a hat, had this lovely blue denim dress, her cowgirl dress. It was lovely. And so here I am, finally doing a painting of Helen. And, when you're young, when you're a child, you draw pictures of your siblings and your parents, and they go, oh, that's nice, and they put it on the fridge and really appreciate it. I mean, I always enjoyed it when my kids did pictures of us as a family. And but when you're older and you're painting family members, there's a certain performance anxiety, I think that's what I would call it, where you're very keen not to mess it up because they're someone you're deeply connected with. And so I'd been wanting to paint this picture for a long time, but just didn't feel competent enough. And for those of you who are following this sort of, I guess, series of art vlogs, really is what they are. I'm not trying to really teach people how to do pastels. I'm more enthusing about pastels as a medium and what I'm learning as I do it. I'm not going to any art school. I'm doing the classic way of learning by doing. And I read a fantastic post by someone today on LinkedIn, and they were actually talking about mind mapping. An Indian lady, and she was saying it's not about getting all the books. Don't try and learn this by getting all the books on how to do mind maps. Just practice doing the mind maps. That's how you get good at it. And often that's the way. I know in our home we've got a number of art books. And you go, oh, well, this will teach me how to do it. But in fact, it doesn't. You tend to use them as reference material later on. And I'm just about to start doing her here. I'm doing all my checking to try and find the right colours. And we'll get the lights and darks. Now, normally I do here using pastel pencils. And not with Panpastels, but in this particular painting I thought I'm just going to brave it out. This is a I think this is an ochre that I'm putting down. Oh, there's some beautiful yellows in the Panpastel set. Diary Light, Hansa yellow, and the ochre range. Now I wanted some depth. So what I'm going to do in this particular painting is I'm going to start laying down her hair, the colours of her hair. And all through the painting I've been pulling the same colours across the background. So you'll see a little bit of turquoise on the rock. And some of that turquoise is in the trees. And I could see it in her hair as well. It must have been a reflection from the foliage around us, or it could have just been a flaw in the camera, but I decided it was some sort of a colour of the light bouncing back onto her. So once I've got her colours, then I start spreading that across the rest of the picture, the same yellows onto the rocks, and to bring unity into the picture. I'm in this mode where once I've got a colour, I like to spread it around the painting and see all the different spots where it's going to go, and do that at that time rather than just get caught up on one single feature of the painting. Well, that's been a problem in the past when I've had portraits. And think of when I had of a young ballerina, just a little girl, and she's sitting there in her tutu and she's putting her hand up in the air. And I spent quite a bit of time working first just on the her arm up to her wrist, and it might have been, I don't know, couple of days on that, and then I went away and did something else on the picture, and when I came back to her arm I couldn't remember the colours I'd used on her arm. I now had to do a hand, and that was like, oh, that's a learning experience. So here I am, I just stopped her hair for a little bit. It's same colours to bring the sunshine onto the rocks. And these Panpastels, the little applicators. So the whole painting was done in Panpastels, no pastel pencil used. And I just wanted to see if I could get all the lines and details using the applicators. I think they're kind of an underrated tool for art. Pastel is not as, pastel's never been a super popular medium, and I'm not quite sure why that is. It's got all the pigment of oil painting with none of the drying time. There is some fragility with pastels, but I have just recently seen a technique for putting varnish. So oil paintings often had a a coating of varnish to protect it, protect the painting. And I saw someone do that with coloured pencils. And coloured pencils are very similar to pastel. They've got a different, how's it, binder? I don't know that it's the binder. There is a difference in the composition between a coloured pencil and a pastel pencil. But the technique of fixing the pastel and then doing a spray varnish over the top is quite intriguing. So in the future I'm going to give that a go and see if that gets around the issue, because normally what happens with pastel, you need to put it under glass, because inevitably someone will come along and they'll put their big fat finger on your pastel and go, because they're like curious, and then they wreck your painting. Or it could be like what I've done in the past, and I've had these paintings up behind me which are not covered by glass, and I've tried to move them, and then that's been a disaster because I've dropped them and they've been scratched, and that's a bad thing as well, because that's the end of the painting. There you go. Oh, that's a shame. So I'm just pulling around the... So anyway, before I got distracted, I just started looking at myself paint again, and naturally wanted to talk about what I was doing. So pastel, I understand. It's a fragile medium at times, and so maybe that's put some off using it. And for many people, they don't like getting the pastels on their fingers either. And that's a reasonable caution to have, because it's quite surprising where some pigments, what the materials are for making pigments for paints. And there can be some toxicity. I've seen pastelists who are using the stick pastels put gloves on to protect themselves. But I don't have that problem with Panpastels, because I'm using an applicator, and so you just don't get the filthy hands that you can get from using normal pastel sticks. I still love pastel sticks. I really got to go back and start using them again, and I bought a lovely set from Korea. Beautiful hand-rolled pastels, just amazing. They're soft and buttery, and I'd like to start cracking those out. However, at this stage of my art career, I'm into still experimenting with the pans. You see I slapped some red onto that rock, and I just put some blue on top, and it just blends it nicely, and you get that sort of purpley colour. Here's the clicker, and there's the gong. Can you hear that? Thought I'd just drop a gong on it. I'm looking for different bell sounds to throw on my videos, so it's not the same thing every time. Anyway, so I'm just building up the rock, and I've switched to a wedge, the micro sponge wedge shape. I love using the wedge. It just feels like a natural extension for me. And yep, you can see I just clean it off on a kitchen towel. That's a paper kitchen towel, not one of our cloth ones. That would be sad. And I've used a turquoise for the highlight on the rock, where the light's hitting it. And I'm not going to make the rock as dark. The darks in this painting are not going to be as black as the contrasts you can see in the reference photo. I made a conscious decision not to paint this particular pastel mat which I'm working on. Normally I'll throw on a underpainting of black gouache, and that gives me the very deep blacks, which are very satisfying. But I had I'm not quite sure what the colour is called. It's a dark navy blue, and I wanted to keep that colour because I could see that colour in the trees, I could see it in the water, and it was in Helen's dress as well. So I just wanted to stick with the paper colour and give that an opportunity to come through into the picture. And of course, when cameras give their version of reality. If you're an excellent photographer or you're very good at Photoshop, you can adjust all the lighting and make it more like it was when you saw it. But in fact, the pastel is probably going to come out more like in the lights that I could see it at the time I took the photo. Time for a coffee. So I think I'm going to go back to the here. Here. So I had the sort of darks in there. And now it was just trying to find the shapes and the movement. There's a little bit of turquoise going in. I'm looking to get the correct flow of her here. And you're representing, art is a representation of what you see, so it doesn't have to be perfect. But it does need to have a form of truth to what you see. There's a fantastic quote by Gus, who wonderful pastelist, but probably quite a nasty man from the sounds of the accounts of his peers. But he said, art is not about what you see, it's about what you make others see. And that's an interesting take, isn't it? What you make others see. And here I'm trying to portray my wife in the best possible light. And at the moment, because pastel goes in layers, you can end up with sort of a bit of a bland mid-tone, and but those highlights are going to come. We'll get to the lights, and then it will just pop more. And she's already starting to. I was already pretty happy. The first half of this painting, I didn't film as I was doing the trees and blocking it in. I couldn't bring myself to film it because I wasn't sure whether I was going to succeed or not. Here we are at the end. We made it to the end. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm pretty happy with how the painting turned out. Let's do it again.